I'm Dean Newland, and welcome to Leadovation. Reimagine, facilitate, flourish. This podcast is dedicated to the art and science of innovative leadership. Through insightful interviews with industry experts, I bring you cutting-edge strategies and experiences of innovative leadership, helping you think differently, act strategically, and achieve remarkable results. Join me as I provide insights and tools that empower you to make smarter decisions, forge meaningful relationships. Welcome to Leadovation. Well, we all knew it. AI is transforming customer service at a breathtaking pace. Companies are replacing routine interactions with bots, automation support, and rethinking entire departments. But as technology becomes more capable, customers seem to be craving something increasingly rare: genuine human connection. Now, I know some of you love the chatbot interactions, so this is also going to be helpful for you as well. In this episode, I sit down with customer experience strategist Ty Givens to explore what happens when AI meets empathy, why some companies are getting automation wrong, and how the future of customer service may depend more on how people use technology and how they provide service to each other. Whether you're leading a team, serving customers, or simply trying to understand where AI is taking us, this conversation offers a glimpse into what is coming next. Ty, great to have you on the show. Let's just start off with, you're in an elevator. You've got 30 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do? What are you all about? Not just a person, but your work. What is your work all about?
Yeah. My work is about helping businesses realize the ROI on their investments.
Specifically in what area? That's a big topic.
Tools.
Such as?
Like Zendesk or Intercom, which are like help desks.
Yes.
And we do a lot of work with those, helping our clients implement those properly so that they see the return on their investment. Self-service, AI, of course, quality assurance, workforce management. We do all of the enabling and support work for support teams.
Okay.
All that every business thinks that their customer service manager can do on their own.
But customer service is your space. It's your domain that you are all about, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a little broader, but because I focus a lot on operations, so not just on the one-on-one conversations with customers, but more so about how those conversations happen, how to prevent them, things like that.
Question.
Sure.
Yesterday, I was trying to talk to somebody at an insurance company because we moved our insurance over to a new company.
Okay.
Very typical situation. You have to go through a series of prompts in order to talk to a real human being. And in the end, I still couldn't talk to a human being. They ended up referring me to the agent who brought us the business in the first place. Yeah. Of course, this is sort of a pet peeve of mine, right? It bothers me. Yeah. So my question then is, from a customer service perspective, how do you balance the efficiency of AI and the need for high touch service?
Yeah.
What is that? Is there an algorithm? Do you guys talk about it at conferences? Like, how do you keep giving great service that people feel heard and respected and loved through an interaction with a human being at the same time the AI didn't take over that and create a bad experience?
Yeah. So we run exercises that are focused on self-service versus what we call agent assistant. So self-service are those low-hanging fruit things that just always are, right? I know that's kind of broad, but what that means is like anytime, like for example, with your insurance agency issue, like I would love to take them on as a client. And so one of the things that I would be looking at is under which circumstances does the contact need to be deflected to their specific agent? And let's get rid of that right away, right? So when you come in, if you're asking for X, immediately you need to contact your agent instead of going through the whole process or waiting or not being able to get to someone. The other thing is that as much as companies really want to deflect, not all, but most, with AI and not take you to a person, that's a recipe for disaster. The idea is to absolutely take you to a person if that's what's requested. And if no one is available, then you need to have a clear out for that. So what happens, like, just because I've been doing this a long time and hearing your issue, there's probably somebody in that insurance company who implemented this new tool or process with no real understanding about how it works and has no idea where those gaps are.
But so many years ago, I worked in a call center, an outbound call center,
Ah,
and we, of course, had a lot of data, even back in
yeah.
those days. How long were people on a call? How long would they
Mhm.
have to wait? How many were moved to another location because we were too full?
Yeah.
All the talk times and all that kind of stuff, right? I get
Yeah.
all that. But is there something that, like, here's another experience I had. I have this very, I have a suspicion that Verizon has a certain way of handling calls.
Okay.
I think that they put down in their outbound message, it says, we're very busy right now. If you would like to talk, if you would like to move things forward quickly, we'll send you a text and you can talk to it,
Yeah.
a person over a text. And they always give us this idea that they're slammed.
Yeah.
And then it's always, you have to wait a certain amount of time. It's usually about 5 to 10 minutes
Uh-huh.
before it finally gets to a real human being. And it's almost like every time I call, it's always that. So is there something on their perspective, not saying that's yours,
Yeah.
that they think like the cost of having a slightly pissed off person is much less than the labor it would cost us to be able to answer those phones?
Okay. Funny thing. I'm going to give you a quick story because I literally just
All
had this
right.
conversation.
All right.
Client of ours currently operates with a $7 cost per contact. That's on the
$7 cost per contact. What does that
Yeah. So
say
that
more?
means every time one of their agents answers or handles a customer inquiry, regardless of channel, it costs them $7.
In a live situation.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it
Okay.
could be an email, phone call, live chat, whatever it
Oh,
is.
even chat.
Yeah, chat, $7.
Oh,
It's
okay.
a cumulative number. It
Okay.
varies based on, but like overall it's $7.
Okay.
So they're on Zendesk. Zendesk has an AI automation feature that says if we feed an answer to a customer using your knowledge base, because it's still your stuff, and that customer essentially is satisfied and does not create a ticket after they get that answer, we're going to charge you $2.
Hmm.
Okay. Now, to get to a live agent costs 7. If Zendesk can get the answer done, it will cost them 2. So the question from the client was, so we're going to pay $2 and potentially have a pissed off client?
Right. And what does
Uh,
that cost a client, company to have a pissed off? I mean, these are often services you have to have. It's not like we're going to a restaurant, right?
right.
You can vote with your feet and go somewhere else. Sometimes these interactions are with organizations by which we have to have a relationship with,
Yeah.
like our phone service, like our utilities, like our insurance companies, like our banks. It's like it's the cost of switching to another bank or another cell phone service is quite a lot on the individual who is
Right.
accessing that. Plus, they might all be playing the same game, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah. And they know that. I mean, at the end of the day, it's you're probably going to get the better service from the companies where the competition's a lot higher. You think about if you have to go to the DMV or someplace like that, no one at the DMV cares about giving you good service.
Right.
If you have to call any,
Government agency.
yeah, there nobody cares. It's just like it just is what it is. So what they do is they try to do their best because they do care about the voice of the customer. They do care about the feedback, but only to the point where it doesn't cost them more, if that makes sense. I mean,
Mm.
I've seen some clients fire customers because it's too expensive to service that customer.
Oh, I feel like though I've actually sometimes if I ask too many questions, it's all of a sudden I exit, it's just miraculously get bumped from the call.
It happens.
And
It
and then I gotta
happens.
start over again, and I'm going, by then, my blood is beginning to boil.
Yeah, it's at the end of the day, like when, I was saying this just last night. I went to a dinner and we were talking about the way that a founder services and supports like customers and how different that is from how like someone that you hire will support or service customers. And I
Mm-hmm.
said, that's because when you found something and you build it yourself, you know that every dollar that comes in, you know exactly where that dollar is being allocated to. So you're going to be treating that customer with the utmost respect because thank you for your $1. And I'm like, but when someone works at the company, it's not that they're ungrateful, but their paycheck is pretty much guaranteed. So for them, the level of gratitude is not as strong. And so I think if we look at the
Hmm.
company type, the whether or not they're providing a necessity or, something that is just, for pleasure or for fun, you're going to see the way that the customer experience comes out. For some companies, they use that experience as a differentiator. So you might find a
Hmm.
bank that's like, we're going to get back to you. So like the insurance company offering you the ability to text was actually their way of being like, look at us, like we're really trying to help you get what you need. And that might not be what you want,
I don't
but
want that. Yeah.
see, and it's the other thing is that there's different strokes for different folks, right? So like SMS, the one agent can probably engage with 3 to 4 customers at the same
Same
time through
time.
text,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Same for like live chat.
Sure.
Email, you just have a little bit of delay, but that phone call is 1-to-1, and phone calls are super expensive.
So I
So
get
they're
it, and I realize I'm an older person when it comes to this. I grew up without all of this. This is not
yeah.
this is not my world when I was a kid. And so I'm sure I'm bringing my own particular bias into this. And I think in some ways I've become hyper appreciative of really good service because I don't see it as often as I used to.
Mhm.
Like restaurants or just anybody who treats you with that high level of detail is just like, oh man, I will be loyal to you to the end of the day because it doesn't happen very often.
Yeah, so I like to cook. I make really
Okay, so there you
I
go.
I make really good egg rolls. Like,
Oh, do you now?
yeah, like my niece, she loves them. My friends, like everybody, when I make them, it's like a big thing. And I was like, you know what? Maybe I should make them and sell them at some point. And I
Uh
thought
huh.
about like, starting something for the family. We just do a business where we're like selling different things that we love to eat or whatever. And I was like, but this is going to be the most efficiently operated, customer centric, family owned business ever. And I want to do that because I feel like in a lot of places there's not an understanding of how things go operationally. So that people
Yeah.
stand up businesses all the time. I mean, it's like nail techs, right? They stand up businesses all the time, but they don't have a clear idea on how to properly structure that business so that customers aren't ticked off from wait times or delays or anything like that. Hairstylists, same thing. They don't have that same structure
Mm.
there. And so I'm like, I never want to be the business that doesn't have that structure and understanding of what it's like for somebody coming in wanting to purchase, the product or use the service, but also wants to have their time valued and respected and feel like they're important to you as, a customer.
A while back, I had the number two person over at Zappos on the show, and she was telling me about their process of customer service, which was
Yeah.
we don't care how long it takes to be able to serve
Yes.
a particular client.
I tested that
If you got
before.
to be on there for 3 hours, you're on there for 3 hours. If you want to help them find a wedding dress, you help them find a wedding dress, even though we don't sell wedding dresses, right?
Yeah.
And they had a cult of people wanting to join them and be customers with that group. Of course, they're just an online group selling shoes, right? It became a big deal. Um, are those days gone, or do we feel like the industry can continue to flourish under that model, or is it now just too gosh darn expensive? I mean, that was great when Tony had this great idea, but
Yeah.
let's face it, labor costs are hard. It's harder to find good people. And we're looking for ways to be able to build to our bottom line, better margins, all that kind of pressure that we have to stay viable. Is
Yeah.
that even a possibility in this day and age?
Okay, here's my opinion on that because it's just an opinion.
Yeah, yeah,
But
we're not gonna. Yeah,
so Zappos, on their journey to selling happiness, they made a lot of money off of the culture of the company. So where they lacked or made up for it, maybe in shoe sales, or maybe they lost a little money on in the customer in the call center because someone, I think the longest call was like 8 or 9 hours or something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the
So
lore. Yeah.
yeah, right. So it's like because of that, there's something has to offset that. And so I mean, when I worked for Intuit, we did the tour in Las Vegas
Hmm.
and learned about how they operate and things like that. So I think that they made up for the losses on the cost of support with the intrigue around their company culture. Again, my opinion. I don't
But
know. I have
meaning
research.
what? That they sold more shoes?
No, they sold more experiences for people like me who work in customer service and customer
Oh,
experience. They're like, how do you
so
do what you do?
kind of like Zappos University, come and
Yeah,
learn from us, or
yeah.
Disney University. So they made money there.
You can buy the
They
books
made buy the books.
and you have to pay for the tour.
So I wonder. I never asked that question of this guest, but I'm curious as to what percentage of their
Yeah.
revenue was based on these experiences versus the number of shoes they sold.
Yeah, I'm not totally sure, but that's just what I'm theorizing. I don't know. But as
Okay.
far as whether or not the days are gone of like exceptional service, I don't think so. I think that it might look a little bit differently because there's the opportunity for a customer to get the kind of support that they want how and when they want it. Now, those come at a cost. Example for you, you made a phone call, you got offered an SMS. For you, that's like not what you wanted. You wanted to speak to someone. For somebody else, they'll be like, oh, I get an off ramp. I don't have to sit on the phone. That's great. So,
Mm,
what we're getting is more diversified channels that meet different
mm.
customer needs that can create that same Zappos experience, which is there's never too much. Because if you need something from me and you're sending it via SMS, that's easier to manage. It costs less. It's very simple to do. It's the phone calls that they don't really want, which is why they offer all those off ramps. But then they
I
leave
know
the phone.
all the Q&A pages on their website. Just go to our
Yeah,
website. You can solve your own problems.
yeah, and like most of the time, and one of the things that I personally like about bots, which I used to be anti-bot, which is kind of funny, but if it's done well, I don't mind a bot because I hated sifting through an FAQ to try to find an answer to a
Right.
question that was super generalized. If I had a specific question, I want a specific answer. And so now
Hmm.
the bots are intelligent enough to go and read the content for you and then come back and present an answer to you, which feels good. My
Hmm.
opinion on that is that if I can ask a quick question to a bot and get an answer that satisfies me and is simple enough, I don't want to have to spend time talking to anyone.
I hear you. I
Right.
hear you.
But
Yeah.
if I do need to talk to someone, I don't want to wait forever either.
No, I get that. And I was on a call with somebody yesterday, and I thought that the person who picked up was a human being, and it was a bot. Oh
Yep.
my God, have they got that down? Even sort of
Good.
the cadence of the words, and it was choppy the way people talk. And then
Yeah.
I ended up kind of saying something, and then I kept talking, and I realized, oh, I don't have a human being anymore. This is actually a bot. Oh
Yeah.
my God,
Yeah.
So, all right. So I'm off that topic now. I get it. I just was curious about this, but what do you think? Before we started the conversation, you said something about leadership
Mm,
changing as a result
yeah.
of these technological advancements, specifically the customer service agent
Mm,
that, and I think I mentioned to you, there was a big article in Wall Street Journal last weekend about how Phoenix, who used to be the hub of so many of these businesses, is now seeing a huge decline because of AI beginning to take on a lot of these roles. But
yeah.
what is the role now of in the future of a
Mm,
customer service agent relative to AI and their ability to solve problems for customers?
yeah. So customer service agents will become effectively bot programmers. There's a lot of resistance on the front line because it feels like my job is being taken away from me. But what's actually happening is that the work that you're doing is evolving and changing. So what I fear for, I've got a niece that's 18 years old. She's going into her sophomore year in college. And, you know, I think about the fact that for her to get a entry level job is kind of like not really a thing. In order for her to be successful at entry level, she's got to learn how to program AI.
Hmm.
That's the new thing, right? And
Hmm.
then if you're like I started in contact centers in 2000. And back then, we had, agent, team lead, supervisor, manager, senior manager, director, VP, all of these roles. And then within that, call it manager or below, their whole job was really focused on customer escalations and employee motivation. That
Hmm.
was the
Hmm.
okay. So maybe within the next 5 to 10 years, it shifted a little bit more. I started working for smaller companies that didn't have the same budgets as like an Office Depot or an Intuit. And then I saw the job become okay, not just motivating people or inspiring people, not just handling customer escalations, but now we need you to handle quality, right? So we need to make sure that every, contact is fairly consistent. And if it's not, you've got to handle that too. And then we need you to do the workforce management. 'Cause we need to make sure that we have enough people in the seats to handle the customers according to our SLA or service level agreement, how quickly we respond to them. Um, and then we need you to train people, right? So the job then went from being those two things to now it's five things. Okay, so now we're moving into this world of AI. And it's like, and now I need you to still keep up all of those things, but I need you to create AI agents that do each of them. And I want you to create an AI agent that engages with the customer so that it gets to it's handled by a bot before it goes to an agent. And then when it goes to an agent, I want them to be critical thinkers. And so you have all of these different layers
Wow.
where I've seen people that I've worked with in the past go to taking like direct frontline rep jobs because the demands of being a leader and support has expanded so much that it's like I can't handle all this.
Has the pay increased because the job is now 5 where it used to be 1, or is it still very
No,
low level?
it's still low level, and I mean, you can make a decent living, don't get me wrong, as a, like, director level, they make good money. Um, However, you earn it, though. It's not like it's not a cushy job, like, you have to be in the past, present, and future, and work
Hmm.
across people, process, and technology at the same doggone time, and it's like, how do you do that when you're constantly like this? And then you're also getting feedback, "Well, you're not looking forward enough," and it's like, "Listen, I'm just trying to get through the next 15 minutes."
Are companies, large companies that you're dealing with actually, taking this into account and hiring people maybe who don't have all these skills, but they're gonna train them along the way
So the thing is that they will hire them without the skill with the expectation that they figure it out somehow. Very
on
few
their
will
own, or
actually.
does that company generated training?
Oh, companies are not generating training on this. They may pay for them
Oh,
to go
okay.
through some sort of training program,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
as far as like there's training for the front line. You come in, you learn the culture of the company, you learn how to
Sure.
support the customer, you know how to administer the tools or whatever. But that training is usually developed by the head of support in most cases, unless they're lucky and have somebody there. But most of the time, they're developing it, and they may not have any background in learning and development. They come from the school of hard knocks and needs to get done. They figure it out, so they don't even know that there could be a process or a method to the madness. They're just doing it.
So you mentioned before, again, we started this conversation that maybe we've gotten a little bit ahead of our skis somewhat. Like
Yeah,
there's a over use of AI. We might need to pull back. Talk
yeah.
about that, and where does that fit into customer service and people who are now having to do these 5 jobs when before it was just 1?
I think that we might have overshot what we thought AI is going to do, and that's evidenced by a lot of the layoffs that companies are experiencing. They're getting rid of a lot of their workforce because they're like, "Well, we've got AI," but the reality is that AI still needs to be overseen,
Mm,
and there's also the misunderstanding that you can just deploy an agent to do really big complex things right away, and the reality is that you need to build on that. So you deploy an
mm,
agent to do like your top 5, and then you add the next 5, and then you add from there, and then you branch off from there. That's how you do it effectively. But a lot of companies are going straight to trying to automate 25 processes and then wondering why things are breaking or not working.
mhm. So do you see return to some hiring?
I think so. And the roles might look a little bit different. Like I mentioned, like the frontline role is changing a lot, so it's not going to necessarily be people who are going to come in to answer more customer inquiries, but it could very well be people coming in to help program, frontline bots to answer the simple questions and then to support complex questions, which could mean more money for those people if they do that, because it's no
So
longer
this is
15, 16 an hour job, a dollar an hour job. It's more than
right,
that now.
right. So what's your prognosis? Where are we heading in, say, a year? And a year may feel like 10 years
Yeah.
ago. Like, where do we see this moving? Because I remember when ChatGPT became the story, and we're like,
Yeah.
what is that? What does that mean? That was not that long ago. That was 2 or 3 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Now it's ubiquitous. What are we seeing that's going to happen?
I think the next thing is we're going to see support leaders become programmers, basically, like natural language programmers. I'm not a programmer, but I can
Yeah, yeah.
talk to a lot. So we're going to start to see that. We're going to see the frontline job itself kind of evolve into something totally different.
Hmm.
Um, and to be more of a maintenance type of role, not necessarily a frontline customer support role. And then
Okay.
I think there will come a point, knock on wood, I don't know, and this could just be my wishful thinking because I'm a support person and have been all my life. But um, I remember back in like 2000, call it five-ish, six-ish, when offshoring became a really big thing and companies were like moving all of their calls overseas. And
Yes.
we saw that everybody was going here, and then a lot of them came back. And so I
Hmm.
think that that's why I see the like, oh, we're here. Oh, there's going to be a little bit of correction that's going to happen because we're going
So
to
you're
find
saying some of our
more.
offshoring might actually come back home,
Some of it has.
but more so, or do you think more of that will happen?
Oh, no, no, I was using the offshoring as an example
Okay,
to talk.
okay, I got it. I
Yeah,
got
yeah. I
it.
think AI is it's still gonna be there. It's gonna look different, but I think that the differentiator may end up being actually talking to a human. The same way that the differentiator for support became talking to a person in the US.
Well, we talk about this in our company too. There are a lot of bots out there of people who are excuse me, the coach bot. Just go to my website, ask me a question, we'll give you an answer. I even got within my own chat GPT, I got a folder called Dean Newland, right? It's got
Oh
all
yeah.
my information, my style, all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
I ask it questions and it's kind of like, hey, that's not a bad answer. Some of it's kind of useful, right? Um, and so I've always thought, people get concerned, like, is coaching going to be a thing of the past? Maybe in
Yeah.
some cases. But on the other hand, I feel like there is a continued reinforcement and a hunger for live face-to-face interactions with real human beings.
Mhm.
And in some ways, it's more important than it was before because it's not something we can take for granted.
Yeah.
Having a live human being conversation is almost like a gift. It's like a sweet, dessert that we have been wanting. And
Yeah.
so I think in some ways we're gonna be able to keep moving forward because of the fact that the options are non-human and we're craving human interaction.
Yeah.
So on that point, I have a question for you.
Okay.
Setting it up, working for a large healthcare organization several years ago, probably shouldn't mention their name. There was always a series of patient satisfaction scores that they took very seriously. And there's always a series of employee satisfaction scores, which they take very seriously. And at one point I said, hey, have you ever thought about connecting these two together? Is there any way to be able to map them? And they said, interesting idea, but we don't have any technology that does that. Well, now there is much more of a movement towards what's called human experience versus separating customer experience from employee experience. So there's a healthcare consulting firm called, I forget it. I'll get it in a minute. But nonetheless, I love the idea of the fact that you provide better service when you are an authentic embodiment of what that service looks and feels like. That
Hmm.
we are walking the talk, meaning that if I'm going to give great service, I probably need to know what great service feels like.
True.
Right. So, do you see any movement in organizations that are continuing to build their customer service muscle, but
Uh-huh.
realizing that their agents or even the people who are overseeing bots would benefit if we increase the culture on the human side within the company, that they kind of come together.
They do. I mean, I feel like there's a pretty decent awareness that happy employees create happy customers, and the opposite of that is also true.
You said that much more succinctly than I did.
Yeah, I think that people know that, but I'll give you an example. When I worked for Intuit, that was the one company that did invest a lot. I don't know what they do today. I was a middle manager too, so it's very comfortable. But they invest in their employees, and they required 40 hours of training. Now it wasn't like role specific training, but it was like leadership development if you were in management. So
Hmm.
for me, when I left Intuit and I was working on my MBA, I found that my training that I was getting at work coincided with the learnings that I was doing for my MBA.
Hmm.
And I would say that that was one of the most, if you can call work fun, that was one of the most fun places that I worked. And a lot of it came from having the financial backing of a large company to not be worried about what's going to happen next, but then also having the agility of a startup to be creative and innovative and make new mistakes, I'll say, or fail
Hmm.
fast. Like you could kind of recover and learn a lot. So in that space, I feel like, delivering a great experience for our customers was paramount because the company delivered a great experience to their employees. And again,
And
I'm
vice versa too, you're saying.
100%.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So I think that
Right.
there's a huge correlation there because if you're coming to work every day beat up or downtrodden, that's gonna come out. I mean, it just is.
Yeah. Even if you are a person who doesn't have direct connection with the client, the customer, you're still saying that there's an equation that says happy employees help us create happy customers. That's still prevalent even in this accelerated AI world in which we're living.
Yeah, which is why it's so critical to create an understanding around how these tools work and why they're important and why they're useful and how
Yeah.
they can benefit people doing the jobs every day, as opposed to being seen as something that's going to take away their jobs. It's going to help the jobs evolve. The question is, do you want to do that kind of work? And the answer to that may be no.
Mm. Let me ask you, sort of a tying this to a bow a little bit question. Obviously, coming on podcasts like this is a opportunity to get your business name out and to do some light promotion, and which is great. But aside from that, is there something that we, the audience, doesn't know that we need to know that you do know? Like, what's your message to the rest of us? If you only knew, you guys, here it is. Here's my soapbox.
If you only knew that supporting customers isn't just answering a phone call, replying to an email, or a live chat. You're talking about a human experience that is wrapped in emotion. And depending on the type of business that you're in, you could have really impacted someone's life just from following a policy or a process. So being empathetic is paramount. And
Hmm.
there are going to be times when you have to go along with things that you don't necessarily want to do because that's the direction of the company. And this is something I'm taking from a conversation I had last night, you know, and this is not my original thought. Someone said it to me and I liked it. So I'm going to reiterate it to you. When that happens, when you can't effectively get on board, take your team on the journey that you're going through for acceptance.
Hmm.
And be transparent and like, yeah, I'm struggling with that too. Here's how I'm trying to overcome that. And I'm sharing that because I was like, oh, that's profound. Because when I was running, teams on the day to day, I struggle with that a lot. And
Hmm.
I'm a little bit too transparent. So you could kind of tell if I was on board or not on board. Doesn't mean I didn't get it done, but you could tell. And so I really like the way that he framed that.
For those of you who are listening who can't see, Ty is just this radiant person. Her face just gives off so much energy. So I bet that it's hard for you to hide anything.
I can't hide it. Yeah, I just
Do not
my
go into
face has
poker as a
subtitles.
yeah. Stay away from Vegas.
I would be terrible playing poker. Yeah.
So Ty,
Yeah.
how can people follow you, find out what you're about? I mean, if there's something that catches someone's attention, how do they reach out to you?
I am on LinkedIn, Ty Givens. So you can find me there. And then also cxcollective.com/Ty. It will take you anywhere you want to go, including to my LinkedIn page. And you can even set up like a quick chat if you want to meet with me or talk to me. I'm always happy to do that. Yeah, I mean, I've been doing this a long time, and I really care about people's outcomes. So happy to help anyway. Yeah.
That's great. Well, thank you for your time and your energy.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for having me.
You bet. If you found value in today's conversation, please take a moment to rate and review our show on Apple Podcast, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. It helps more people discover Leadervation and this kind of conversation. And if you're looking to strengthen leadership, culture, or team performance in your organization, you can learn more about working with me and Mission Facilitators International at mfileadership.com.